Welcome to Pause the Page. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Katie.
And I'm Ashley.
Today we will be discussing The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins. This is the latest and greatest Hunger Games book. Dun dun dun. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that we have a new Hunger Games. Like it's back.
Yes. I have too. I'm really enjoying the renaissance.
Me too.
Of the Hunger Games. Oh my gosh, though, do y'all get the Josh Hutchinson's edits on your page?
Don't, but I saw you do it on the TikTok.
They sneak them in there. I saw one earlier. They took the cover of the Ballad of Songbirds and they were like, I figured out what they're all looking at. And they pointed, like they drew lines from all their eyes and then it panned over to his.
I saw the one where it's like the ending credits or like the last clip. After
yes. Oh yeah. So
and it's just a picture of his face. So we want to start off with some questions. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do some
all Hunger Game related questions, right? Woo! I'm excited.
Actually, I think I'm the one that came up with these, and I have given no forethought into them. So. Y'all, let's go.
I thought about it and I still haven't come up with answers.
I don't deserve a sponsor. Well, the first one is, if you were in the Hunger Games, what are 3 things that you would want to get from your sponsor? Anybody?
Okay, I'll start because like mine are going to be real basic, but especially if we were in the 10th Hunger Games, which is
I love that. Okay, let's pick one.
Let's do that.
And in the 10th Hunger Games, I would definitely food and water would be 2, right? Because we've learned that they didn't get those. There was no way to get those. But my third one would be a lighter. Something to start a fire with.
They didn't seem that cold.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking for smoking people out.
But so you're gonna go on the offense? You're gonna go after the people and smoke them out?
Here's my thing. I am the type of person who's gonna hide out, but there's eventually, even if I hide out, there's eventually gonna be a point where I'm gonna have to fight, right? So I need to have something that's gonna allow me to fight. And I know my strength. I think, well, here's the thing. If I can use the situation against them, I'm gonna be in a better spot than if you try to fist fight me, because I will go down in one punch. That I would be done. I'm not gonna make it in a frontal fight.
Okay, so I would pick food and like water 2, and then I would pick a champion, and I would pick like the Dwayne the Rock Johnson to come in and fight for me.
Can he come in by drone?
Oh, we got to talk about those drones. We'll get there. But that's hilarious. For me, I'm thinking more like, can I have some comfortable shoes?
Ooh,
so I can like run.
Some titties.
Because the good one, you need the swish.
Because I think everybody stayed in like whatever clothes they wore to the reaping, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is different than the later games, which
yes.
I found.
And then also I feel like I would want a map. Like
of the arena?
Yeah. Even though it was super basic and it was just a circle, the fact that there was a lot of like tunnels and stuff, I'm like, I want to know where I can go.
I can't even read maps now. I can't imagine under pressure.
Look, that was one thing.
Okay, let me edit my thing. Maps with photos, please.
There you go. Where the McDonald's I'm supposed to turn like that.
Look, out of all the technology we've had so far, maps with photos, it's like GPS.
GPS in the tunnels. Since we didn't get a map of Panam, we got a snippet of a map of Panam in the movie. I'm still bitter. I want a map.
I think it gave most of it. I think the maps that are out are pretty accurate.
They are now. I would argue that people figured out the movie one. But I won't lie to you. What I imagined in my head does not line up with the map that I'm seeing. And it makes me have more questions. Because that kind of leads us into the second question a little bit, I think.
Go for it.
which is, what district do you think you would be in and why?
No idea. Like straight off the bat, I have thought about this and I cannot see myself in any one of those.
I would like to be in 3. I would be a
Wait,
technology person.
go down the list, like super
Okay.
quick.
So 1 is luxury items, 2 is masonry and weapon manufacturing, 3 is technology, 4 is fishing, 5 is power and electricity, which I want to have a conversation about, because if you can power all of North America by District 5, Texas, we got issues. Number 6 is transportation, 7 is lumber, 8 is textiles, 9 is grain and production, 10 is livestock, 11 is agriculture, 12 is mining, and 13, before it went kaboom, was graphite, specifically mining graphite.
I really thought that Texas was the livestock.
I thought that are grains.
What's the difference between 10 and 11? Because 10 is livestock, 11 is agriculture.
10 is meat, and 11 is vegans.
Yes.
Oh.
think 10 is like Texas,
God.
right? Like think meat, but agriculture, corn. What else is made with corn? I don't know. I always think of the cornfield, grain, that kind of stuff.
Why was that so perfect? Like,
I don't know, but I liked Ashley's explanation a lot better.
So the map on the wiki page, Texas is, it looks like 10, and then also maybe a little bit of 11.
Which makes sense with the Great Plains area.
So, but I don't want to go by where I live.
No.
Because, Texas is awesome, but Texas isn't actually here on the map. So
look, that's why I would think I'm in 3. I'm a technology person. I love technology. Please let me be from District 3.
I would want to be from District 13, but like in the underground thing when it went kaboom. Like be part.
You want to be a rebel.
Be part of that, yeah.
What's textiles? What is that?
I would think clothing.
Yeah, tigress.
Maybe I'd be from there. I really don't know. I'm not a huge technology person. Like, I am not tech savvy, so I would die in District 3 on my own. And isn't that still one of the good districts there? Like, I would still die.
1 and 2 are
maybe the only thing I can like sort of feel like I could fit in is the fishing, which is District 4. Not necessarily for the fishing itself, but I love water. Like, I have to be by the water. So
that makes sense.
Like, I have red hair. I'm full Ariel right now. So I'm gonna just go with District 4.
There you go.
Cool.
So
that
we
looks
would
like
all
it's part of California over there.
Wait, say again?
No.
What?
No.
California is so pretty.
Can we do like Florida? I'd much rather like.
Are you kidding me? No. Listen.
You want to be with the crazies?
I'm already crazy. Florida actually isn't a part of it. There was some natural disasters or something, right? And so Florida is gone.
Oh.
That checks out, actually. I'm surprised California is there then, because California, I feel like, depending on the natural disaster, would also break out.
I always understood California as like District 1, like luxury and stuff.
No, because the capital is Utah area, right? And then
which is wild.
Are you looking at the actual map? I'm like thinking about the map in my head.
Well,
there is a more official map now.
Yeah,
I guess I haven't seen it.
No, it's it's not on the book or anything.
No.
I'm just looking at the fan page. Like, so you know all the there's big wiki fan pages for just about everything.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking
and I'm guessing they took screenshots when Lucky was doing the weather for those districts.
Yeah, that's what I saw that, I was thinking of you. I was like, oh, there's your map.
I was and then I saw 12 was over here in the Carolinas, and I was like, wait, my brain did not process that.
That's why Lucy has the Appalachian accent.
We can get into how I hate that accent later. I don't think she
With
did a
your
good job with
southern
the
drawl.
accent. That's just a personal thing.
Well, I think that's why they had Jennifer Lawrence just not do the accent.
I'm kind of thankful for it,
I don't know
though.
why they went a different direction.
But I would
the movie.
argue, and this is probably we're probably going a little early because we have one more question. But with the accent, nobody else in 12 had the accent. Only the Covey had the accents. So it would make sense for it to die out. Well,
I didn't even pick up on that.
because everybody else Lucy interacted with outside of what's his name with the accordion did not have an accent from 12.
Okay.
But that's a side note. I was about to say, let's not dive into that yet. We got one more question before we dive into everything.
What is it?
It is, what was everybody's favorite book of 2023?
I'm running to my Goodreads right now. I'm probably gonna have to go with Divine Rivals. It was a beautifully written book. I really liked it.
I need to read it. I've heard so many good things. For me this year, it was Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah, I like this one. It started out really slow, and I had to set it down so many times.
That's fair.
So
I was under the pressure of I need to finish it before I watch the movies, so that probably helped.
I was under the pressure of my library wants us back on time.
Oh, that's a good pressure too.
Okay, so on to the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So this book is about Coriolanus Snow, who isn't a political figure yet, but he's a student placed in charge of mentoring a District 12 tribute in Pan Am's 10th Hunger Games. The movie's rated PG-13 for violence and disturbing content. And I would say that if you're mature enough for the movie, then you're mature enough for the book.
Mm-hmm.
So on to the summary. This book is pieced in 3 parts, and part 1 is called The Mentor. So the once wealthy and powerful Snow legacy has dwindled to only Coriolanus Snow, his grandmam, and his cousin Tigress. They're destitute from the war, and he is nervous about his future. Coriolanus is preparing for the reaping of tributes for the 10th Hunger Games. And so the capital has made it to where students mentor this year. They're trying to make it more interesting. And Snow needs to do well in the games to win a cash prize so that he can pay his tuition at university. And then he's disappointed when he finds out he's going to be mentoring the girl from District 12. But then when Lucy Gray is chosen at the reaping, she just captures the audience's attention with her defiance and then her singing performance. So then we go on, and during the time with Lucy Gray, he becomes attached to her and he decides he wants to help her survive at the Hunger Games. But also at the same time, we see his opportunistic nature and selfish tendencies shine through. And then we go to part 2, which is called The Prize. So that's the actual Hunger Games. Tributes are released into the arena. The camera pans to where one of the tributes, Marcus, hangs from his wrist still alive, and another tribute kills him. Snow gets a summons from Dr. Gall to the arena that night, where she forces Corio to sneak in and get his friend, not friend, Sir Janus out. They barely make it out. Corio ends up killing a tribute. And then this brings about one of the big themes in the book, where Dr. Gall tells Corio that what he experienced in the arena is humanity in its truest form. So then Corio returns to the lab a few days later, discovers that Dr. Gall is planning on setting the snakes loose in the arena. So Snow drops a handkerchief that Lucy used into the snake tank so that they would be familiar with her scent. And then the snakes end up killing several tributes, but not Lucy. And ultimately, she wins the games. And then Corio's excitement is short-lived when Dean Highbottom presents him with his mother's compact and the handkerchief from the snake tank, and they know he cheated, and he's forced to sign up for the Peacekeepers. Break! Holy crap, that is a lot to say.
Almost there.
Okay, and then part 3 is called The Peacekeeper. Corio chooses to be sent to District 12 to serve out his time as a peacekeeper in hopes of finding Lucy Gray once more. To his surprise, a week later, Sir Janus arrives as a peacekeeper as well. As Corio and Serjanus settle into their new mundane lives as peacekeepers, mundane, they sorry. as as Corio and Serjanus settle into their new mundane lives as peacekeepers, they connect once more with Lucy Gray and the Covey. However, after the hanging of a rebel, Serjanus struggles with the concept of what peace is. As Serjanus begins to connect with the rebels, Corio works to prevent Serjanus from making another mistake that could ruin Corio's chance of going back to the capital. After betraying Serjanus and a double murder, Corio believes his life is over and the only solution is to run away with Lucy Gray. However, Lucy becomes aware of what he has done and abandons him. Due to passing his officer's test previously, Corio takes the opportunity of Lucy Gray abandoning him to go back and work his way up to the ranks, only to find himself brought back to the capital instead, where he is praised by Dr. Gall for his treachery and brought under her wing to study on how to improve the Hunger Games. Blah.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Like, wow.
Whoever's editing this is going to be editing those parts out, by the way.
2 seconds. Hold on.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks. First of all, can we give a round of applause to Ashley for saying all of those names correctly?
Yay, Ashley.
Wow.
That round of applause goes to Santino Fontana, who narrated the audio portion. And that's the only reason I know how to do it.
How to say the names.
And you heard it over and over again. Okay, that
Coriolanus.
To be fair, I went to that movie and because I didn't listen to the audiobook, right? I went to the movie and I was like, that's how you say those names?
I didn't even try to say those names in my head. I know with Snow, I kept calling him Cornelius. Is the only thing my brain could actually say.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. That's how I got through a good half of the book, was just switching his name to Cornelius. So I understand.
I really like Corio. So
Corio's easier to say. So we're probably going to say Corio through the podcast for our listeners, for our sanity.
Yeah, because Corio is young movie Snow, and then Snow is everything else.
Yes. There we go. I like it.
That's how I have to separate it in my head there.
All right, so let's dive into the differences. I feel like there was so many differences. Actually, let's back up. Let's talk about the cast real quick. Before we dive into the differences, let's talk about the cast. How did y'all feel about the movie cast as a whole?
I love them all. I think they all were like perfectly casted. I think they were all great.
I agree.
Yeah, they each portrayed their characters so well, even if they didn't get a whole lot of screen time like Tigress and Grandmam.
Tigress had so Hunter Schafer had some really good moments in there where like that end scene where we were talking about where she calls Snow out, like her delivery was great.
Yes.
Okay, and then I don't know if y'all have ever seen Ice Age by chance.
The animated one? The animated movie? Yeah.
One of them, Sid, the Sid the Sloth, has a grandma. And that's all I could picture for Grandmam. Y'all look it up later.
Okay.
I'm going to look it up now.
But yeah, no, Tom was great. Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage.
It was good casting. And I would argue that Viola Davis stole the entire movie. She
was great. Any scene where she was in it, you're just drawn to her in that moment. It was great.
She embraced the crazy of Dr. Grawl a whole level.
Mm-hmm. And that suit they put her in, her lab coat. Yeah, it was great.
It was awesome. And I think it's important because like I wanted to make sure we emphasize that the casting was fantastic, because I personally felt like the movie changed a whole lot to make it a movie. So I didn't want it to get lost that like we didn't recognize that there was a lot of good here too. Since our podcast focuses on differences.
I teased my husband when we went, right? So we went and it came up to part 3, and I looked over at him like super excited. I was like, "There's only 4 more parts to go after this," and he looked over and he was like, "Really?"
Only 4?
So let's actually, since you introduced it, let's talk about that. Did you like or did you not like the fact that they emphasized this was part 1, part 2, or part 3 in the movies? Because that's new. They didn't do that before, but I don't think the original trilogy had anything like that in the books either.
I think because the book was so choppy, like the book when I was reading, it felt like I was reading 3 novellas.
Okay.
Like it felt very choppy to me. But I liked on screen it was reminiscent of like a wartime documentary. So it had like the like the typey, and then it popped up on the screen. I didn't mind it.
I didn't think of it that way. That's a true point. I found it interesting that we emphasized it only because I've read books that have stuff like that, but they don't bring that into the movie. So I found it interesting that that choice was made for this
I
one.
was
But I agree
surprised.
with you. I feel like it needed to because it was to me, 3 different snows, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Like it's 3 different major points of his life. Like each
In
one
the
is a big
movie,
changing.
for
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Um,
Because so the character development in the movie, I saw a lot of people that were like sympathizing with Snow.
mhm.
Absolutely not. No. That guy was bad from beginning to end. Like he sucked.
I know, I felt like I was watching the movie and the entire time I'm like, "What is he about to do? Like, how is this gonna get worse?" Because we know y like, I'm already not rooting for him, but I am curious enough to, like, know his life story, right? But the entire time I'm like, "Okay, what's about to happen? What is he about to do?"
Mhm. Well, and I can't help but wonder, especially for people who only watch the movies, right? And I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean this legitimately. So if you only watch the movies and then you watch this one for the first time, I feel like those are the people who are typically sympathizing with Snow. Because if you read the book, it's all from his perspective. It's all in his head. We've talked about this a little bit, but you lose that in this movie. You don't get that internal dialogue that when you're reading the book off of like page 2, you're like, oh, this boy, different level of crazy.
Yeah.
Like it is
It
clearly set
starts
up by
off.
Collins. He's not a good dude from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But in the
like, so,
movie, you can't tell.
yeah, Mike was like, I thought you said he was bad from the get go, but like he didn't. It seemed like he got progressive, like a villain origin story, kind of.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he sucks since he was 8 years old. I don't.
To be fair, if I also watched, and this is we know it's a spoiler, but this part is a little graphic. If at 8 years old I also watched my neighbor cut off a dead person's leg to go eat it, may also break something in my brain. I'm just saying.
Can
Uh,
we get a round of applause for Tigress, who is only a couple years older, just holding that family together?
yes,
Yeah.
She grew up. It's interesting it's that nature versus nurture where they live together, but she grew up one way and he grew up the total opposite.
she was. I saw somebody comparing her to Katniss before the Hunger Games, comparing the two of them to Katniss and Prim. How Katniss kind of took on all the bad to protect Prim, and how
Mm-hmm.
Tigress kind of took on all the bad to protect Snow.
Yeah, they were cousins, but I think that's a older sibling drive.
Yes, I would agree with that. They basically grew up as siblings. Like they both
Yeah.
lost their parents and they were with Grandmam for so long. I would argue that they were more siblings than cousins.
Yeah, if I though ever put my hands on my brother's face and like touched foreheads, he would punch me.
Oh
Oh
no,
my
for sure. I
god,
was like,
yeah,
y'all
no.
real affectionate.
No.
So,
I'm
but
pretty
yeah, so
sure my siblings would be like, "Are you okay? Why are you
you're right.
touching me?"
Like 5 feet back, please. The flower in the beginning. So in the novel, the grandmam gives Snow the flower to put in his shirt, and he cuts her or she cuts her finger on the thorn,
Mhm.
and like in his head, he's like, I should be thankful that this stupid old woman gives me the opportunity to practice self control every day. And you know, and
Yeah.
like that was one of the points I had to set the book down. I was like, we're just gonna start off right here, okay?
It was like 5 pages in, and this man's got murderous
Yeah.
intentions. Okay. One thing that I had a friend point out that absolutely loves this book and the movie, and I think it's a good time to bring it up because we're talking about the beginning of the book. In the beginning of the book, it is very emphasized how poor the Snow family has become, how they are keeping face and doing everything they can. That's why Corio's shirt being redone by Tigress is so important, and how it's like ripping off the buttons, the tesseract buttons on the tesseract. That's how you say it, right? I think the buttons on
The
the mid
Tesseract
button
is
thing.
like
Yeah,
the
but like
Marvel
it's
thing.
so emphasized through the entire book how Snow is struggling to keep up these appearances because his family is so poor because they used to own District 13, which I thought was a nice little like, hey, here's why they're broken. And the like his friends and stuff have been able to come back, but he hasn't. And you would think that kind of thing would like make him empathize more, but instead it just makes him angrier. And one of the comments at the beginning that made me set the book down was Snow talks about how in the capital it used to be seen as obscene to have waste. Like you had to save everything. Everybody was like on the same level. And now he's noticed waste has come back and it's seen as a source of pride. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go sit down. That one got a little too close to home.
Yeah.
But I think that's important because later in the districts, he kind of feels the same way when he's out in District 12.
Yeah, for sure. It's that sense of privilege and entitlement, and
Yep.
there's such a divide between capital and even District One or whatever.
Yes.
There's none of that. It's literally your district or your capital.
Right. So in at this point in the series, for anybody who either only read or only did like one or the other or whatever, or like hasn't seen anything, at this point, the Hunger Games are not the Hunger Games that we have been introduced to. It is still raw. It's people aren't tuning in because the idea of watching children kill each other is horrid, like across the board. We don't have the what do they call districts 1 and 2? The career district.
Careers.
Because
They're
like
careers, yeah.
yeah, their career became the Hunger Games. It became emphasized. All that stuff doesn't come till after this, and you get to see the buildup of it, which again, I don't feel like was done as well in the movie as it was in the book. In the book, you can see all the connections of, oh, that's what led to X, Y, and Z. But like in this one, it's so dramatic, and like the Hunger Games are on possibility of not even coming back because nobody wants to watch kids kill kids. Like, and that's what they're seeing. They're still seen enough as humans at this point that, and not a game that I would argue again, it's that you would think there's more empathy there that doesn't end up coming out of Snow.
No, yeah, none at all. I have a note in here that, and I think you added on to it, the scheming
Oh
that
my
this
god.
kid does just throughout his entire day is insane and like maybe I'm just an unobservant peasant, but like it's crazy because there's this part where he goes to the beginning ceremony and his dad's old shirt, and this happens in the movie too. They make a comment about it. You're like, oh, you're wearing your dad's old crap or whatever, you know? And he's like, oh, yeah, I just wanted to have a piece of him with me. And, you know, he plays off everything and he just watches everybody. Um, it's just crazy. I'm just here for a good time. Like, you won't ever
It's
catch me watching
tiring. No, no, but I'm with you
it.
though. Like it's tiring to watch him constantly be on top of thinking all these things. You know what I mean? But my comment back to you was like, I really do think one, it shows off his narcissistic side, right? Because he's having to be aware. He needs people to
For
look at him a certain
sure.
way. But it goes back to the whole emphasis of he's poor and he doesn't want people to know. Like he knows
No,
how to act.
appearances are
Yeah.
everything. You have
Which
to
we
keep up the
know
appearances.
that's kind of the whole capital thing even later is people like are dressing up stupid weird in the later Hunger Games because like that's what you do. Like that's the emphasis, right? Like everybody's got to look like something. And we see that kind of start here, but God, it was exhausting in the book and the movie.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the waste coming back, and then in the original Hunger Games, where they eat so much and then they throw it up so they can keep eating. Like
Yes.
the excess of waste has just grown exponentially in the 70 years or whatever it's been.
Yes. That's a other side note. Can we talk about how Snow is 83, 84 in the original Hunger Games trilogy?
I mean, I thought he looked 80s. I thought he looked 80s. The woman, I don't know her name, the actress that played Tigress
She
in the
looked younger
original,
than him.
she looked
Yeah.
in her 60s, 50s, 60s. So,
But
and you can tote that up to the plastic surgery. I tote it up to nobody well, no, like not her, like in the, you know what I mean, like
yeah.
her tiger face. I just think nobody had the foresight, you know.
Yes.
So,
I would agree with that.
anywho's, oh, I had to. Okay, so the descriptions of the animals when he goes to visit Dr. Gall and there's all these mutts. I don't know if it was just a certain time of the month. I had to set that book down. It was so sad. Like I cried, like thinking
Yes.
about all those mutated animals.
Well,
Like,
the Avoxes that he saw that were
right? Yeah, the people too. Yes.
mutated. Yeah. So if you don't remember or you haven't watched the original Hunger Games, Avoxes are people who had their tongues cut out and are basically slaves for people in the Capitol. And she's experimenting on them. She's making chimeras. And I'm like, no, I was the same way. And she's so unbothered by like failed
Yeah,
experiments and
she's so
stuff.
callous and it's crazy. I don't know if they ended up saying this in the book or if I just noticed it in the movie, but Sir Janus, when he sneaks into the arena, in the movie they mentioned, she was like, yeah, the peacekeeper that helped him get into the arena is now an Avox.
Yeah, she talks about cutting out the peacekeeper's tongue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was in the book, but it did emphasize her character for sure in the movie. That was a whole mess. But speaking of Sejanus, because I kind of want to bring him up.
Yeah.
So I deep dived into the internet because I wanted people who also were like looking at all the little things that I was also noticing. And I read something where somebody pointed out how the reason Snow, first of all, we know Snow is haunted in the original trilogy, right? Like the reason he hates Katniss so much is like very clearly stated in this book because you can see the overlay.
Yeah.
But somebody pointed out how Snow, what was it? Snow is reminded of Sejanus by Katniss, and Peeta reminds him of Lucy. And I found that very interesting. And I would argue that it's not
How?
Yeah, make it make sense.
Okay, so Peeta is the lover, right? Like he's the one who wants things to go well. He's making food. He's he is the one who can play up the media, right?
Are you
sorry.
wooing him?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't whistle.
What are you trying to do?
The whistle song for his edit. Never mind.
I'm sorry. I clearly haven't
Are
seen
you
these
talking
edits.
about,
I
like,
was confused.
Hold on. I know. I was like, what is Ashley doing?
From
Okay, I got it.
I clearly
Okay.
haven't seen these edits. I
Da,
don't.
da, 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 da.
yes, I just can't. Cut it all out. Go back, Katie.
Oh, no,
Katie,
no,
make
we're
it make
keeping
sense.
that. We are keeping that.
I can't make it make sense. I haven't seen the edits.
Not that. Okay, so we're gonna say that Peeta is closer
Lucy.
to Lucy.
Yep. So
Oh, you were explaining that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
So Peeta reminds Choreo of Lucy because Peeta's the lover. Peeta's the one that wins over the media's hearts. He's the one who draws everybody in.
Yeah, he's a performer.
He's the
good at
performer
performing.
in it. But Katniss is the rebel. Katniss is the one who has no problem basically sticking it to the man. Like she was ready to kill off her and Peeta at the end. She's like, "We done. What you gonna do about it?" And that's why people.
You know
are saying,
what? Yeah, okay, I see it. I agree. Yes, I like it. Man, Snow hated Sir Janus in the
He
book,
did.
oh my god, he was like,
And
"We're
anytime
not
it was like, "This is
friends."
your best friend," and he was like, "Is it though?"
It seemed so true to how things play out a lot of times in real life. Um, like how he ended up at the end, like Sir Janus is dead, and then he becomes the heir because he weaseled
Yes.
his way and he used his cunning. He was the
Yeah.
snake, and maybe that's
No,
a
I agree with
cynical.
you. Because, like, he like, again, it's that internal monologue that we got that lost in the movie, right? Because he in the book, he hates this kid, like, with a
Yeah,
fiery
yeah.
passion. But he
It's so
also
funny.
goes, "Your dad's got money, though, so I'm gonna sidle up to you, and your family's gonna love me, and then what are you gonna do?"
Mhm,
Because that's what
mhm.
it to me, that's how he won them over. Ma loved him. Ma was just like, "You're my kid's best friend. You're his only friend. Like, let me send you stuff." I like goes to his family when Sejanus in the book originally goes into
Arena.
the arena. Thank you, I lost the word. Um, his mom goes to the grandmam looking for
Mm-hmm.
him. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was her first
Yeah,
thought, was
because
he'd
they
be
were
at
like,
her
"Oh,
friend's
they're
house.
such good friends. He
Yeah,
must be over there."
which
That tickles me so much because you just see it in his head. He's like, "I don't like this kid," but Snow never burns a bridge unless he's gonna burn you down with it.
exactly. That is a great,
Ooh,
I like that.
you just almost quoted the Katniss Everdeen.
Oh, what?
If I burn, you'll burn. You all burn with us, or what is it?
Yeah. If
Mm,
we burn,
but a
you burn with
different
us.
mentality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
His
Yeah.
is more
self-serving.
personalized.
Yeah.
But no, I like that. That was a good, yes. That's a solid point. This is another difference for me, a big difference between the book and the movie is the book, I feel like there is no character development of Snow, if that makes sense.
No,
Like,
he's crap from the beginning to end.
yes, like you read the first 2 pages and you're like, "Oh, there's something broken up there." But I felt like the movie was the romanticized version of the villain that most people like to read about.
Well, Tom Blythe is just too
He's
handsome to
also
play
pretty.
the part.
He's very pretty.
um,
He's pretty in all hairstyles, including his Eminem era, because I could not handle the buzz cut.
yeah, but the curls.
Oh,
But I think that's
Yes.
also very true. Like, what a great way to see. So, like, the book is like you're in his head, so you know he's a psycho, but
mhm,
he's projecting what everyone else sees when you're watching the movie.
right.
and and so you just see how cunning it is and how he can make people sympathize with him, which is how he can weasel his way into different places and became, President Snow.
Okay,
All
let's
right.
continue. I don't know where we're at though. I'm
Ba,
sorry.
ba, ba, ba,
Subplots.
bo.
You're good.
Ba, 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 bo.
Subplot.
I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head.
I'm gonna have to go look up what y'all are talking about now. I don't like that. I don't know.
Just look up any videos whatsoever about the Ballad of Songbird, and it's gonna come up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I fully believe you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to go
The
just-
explore
only
it.
thing I'm gonna
Just
say,
type
just-
in Josh Hutcherson edit.
Gotcha. I'm on it. I'll do it.
All it is a picture of him and the I'm so white, so Flow Rider whistle song over it.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Look, you can whistle. I can't even whistle.
I
so
can't
you
whistle.
got dropped.
hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can do the old Hunger Games thing.
Huh?
Hold on. Ooh, I can't do it. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't.
Memer.
Yes.
I can't. No.
Y'all feel better than me. I can't even make a whistle, like, at all. So
Oh, that was closer.
there you go.
I gotta keep practicing. No, but the one that's in these videos of Josh Hutcherson, it's like the
Was that like
okay.
an early 2000s?
Probably. Okay, keep going.
All right, so subplots. What is anything that was either added or deleted from the book to the movie that you wish was, like, you enjoyed, you didn't enjoy? For
My
example, pacing.
well, pacing in both the movie and the book were the book pacing to me was very choppy. Like the first part, where we have to listen to ever forever for him whining about his shirt.
Oh
It
my
took me
god.
forever to get through.
Me
I'm like,
No,
too.
that's
my
fair.
guy.
Me too.
I felt like the first part was I agree with you, Ashley. The first part was slow. It took a long time to get through. The Hunger Games picked up a little bit, but it still was overall slow. And then it was like, you know, the video or the sound clip where it's like, hold my hand, and now we
And
go,
then,
and now that's how I felt with the third part. Like we just like
yeah,
bam as fast as we could to the ending.
yeah, it was kind of weird for a singular book to have, because normally you have books that are quick pace, like Fourth Week. It's a
Yes,
lot of action. It's very fast paced, and then you have slower books like Addie LaRue,
yes,
right? This one was both, and so it was very like disorienting as I'm reading. But once I got into the second part, I really started to enjoy it. Like the first part, I was like, "Oh no, this is gonna suck." I'm giving it 2 stars, and then after that, well,
it
I
picked
won't
up.
say yet, but yeah,
It picked up. Well, and I would argue that so yes, I would agree with you. The book pacing is a little wonky, but the movie pacing is so much worse.
they Mike said it was slow to him. I really enjoyed. You know
Really?
what? I enjoyed this a lot better than the first 300 games. Actually, I really did.
Really?
Well,
Hmm.
okay, I'm gonna agree because I liked it in the movie.
I
Like
hated it.
Really,
I did not mind
they
it. Like
had.
I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
I felt it moved. Now, and here's the thing. If I had watched it and not read it, I don't know if I would be saying this. But in the book, because I know that there's like 2 weeks of them building up to the Hunger Games, right? There's this emphasis on the fact of it being an actual Hunger Games. These kids are not being fed. There's all this like stuff that happens. We live out the entire section of Clemmy in the movie. And the hospital scenes and everything. We took like those
Yeah.
2 weeks
Oh,
and put it
that's true.
into two
Yeah.
days. And it
Hmm.
was like, oh, this is like whiplash. I was like, it is too fast almost. And then the Hunger Games again like takes place over like a week or so. Like it's drawn out because it's not the Hunger Games we know. It's not even the Hunger Games they have originally set up because of the tunnels and everything. And again, wait, it's like, and I recognize that for a movie it would have been real boring, right? So they like changed the timeline and they squished it because this is also the very first book that we get dates. The reaping happens on July 4th, which felt important. Because we've never brought up dates in the trilogy. The calendar's gone. The calendar system's gone by then. But this one feels very too close to America, if that makes sense. Like the reaping happens on July 4th. That felt specific. There's talks about the August dates by the time he is a peacekeeper. Like those kind of, we get the pacing, like we're told the pacing versus
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
original
Yeah,
trilogy.
they shortened the Hunger Game part to like 2 days or something,
Yeah.
3 days.
In
Yeah.
Um,
what?
What?
like a week.
In no, but like in
Oh,
the movie?
yeah. In the
Yeah.
movie, it's shortened to like 2 or 3 days.
It's real
And
quick.
then in the yeah, and then in the book, it's like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I will tell you. So one thing that two things that were in the book that were not in the movie that I really like. Three things. Okay. So one was when I'm blanking on the tribute's name, the one that gets rabies, and then they send the water in.
Yes.
In
The 11th boy. Shoot, I don't
Yeah,
remember his
I
name.
can't remember Jovi or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Jessup.
uh,
Jessup.
Jessup.
Thank you.
Yes. Um. So in the book, they send the water. In the movie, Snow is like, "Hey, use whoever his mentor is. I don't know her name. He was like, "Hey, use your donations to send water." Like he told her. In the book, she does it on her own for
Yes.
him, and I think that's really important because it shows the support that he rallies, like the way he manipulates everybody. Like he didn't have to say, "Hey, you should give me the water." She was like, you know what? I'm going to give you the water.
Well, and she thought it was an act of kindness.
Yeah.
In the book.
And I think it seemed out of character for him. Yes. I don't know. Like, I know what they were trying to do, because he's trying to say, it gave him, like, the humanity he didn't deserve. Like, he was trying to save Lucy. Like, he loved her, I think, you know? Like, hey, get her out of there. Hey, send this water. So I didn't like that. The other one was at the end, he's getting rid of the weapons. And I think that's when it happens. And his mom's powder and the photos get all wet. Yeah. And the only thing that's left is his dad's compass. And it's like he's shedding any semblance of his mother and his humanity that he has. That's gone. And the small thread of his humanity is gone. The only thing left is his father and the compass. And that wasn't in there.
I wish it was. That was one of the most impactful scenes.
Yes. I think they tried to make up for that with Tigress, because in the beginning she's like, you know, one thing I didn't like about your father was his cold eyes, or something like that. Like, you're like him, but and then at the end she's like, you look just like your father.
Right.
And that was kind of. And the other one was the Meadow Song. They left the Meadow Song out.
I'm still sad about that, because I feel like that would have made more of a connection than the I was about to say the Hunger Games song, the Hangman song.
Yeah. I think they chose the Hangman song because it is like a rallying war cry in the other Hunger Games, and
that's true.
It's more associated.
Yes.
You know, like, it was more impactful. So if they were going to pick one, I think
yes,
it was for movie
I do agree with that. Another thing I noticed is, and this kind of goes back to the other question where we were like, where would you be from? And I was like, the technology group. So in the book, the drones are a new feature, right? Like, it's the brand new thing for the 10th Hunger Games. And in the book, they start off wonky, right? But they
get
better as the games go on. And there's a whole point with, and again, y'all, I'm so sorry. There were so many characters. I don't remember who the District 3 kid was, but they gather the parts of the drone and they use that to kill off another kid. And they do it very well. But in the movie, we left that completely out. And I kind of wanted to see it, because that's the first time we see kids getting creative in the Hunger Games. Or at least that's what's kind of emphasized, is kids using what's around them. And 2, the drones just stay broke in the movie. And they become a weapon for the Capitol kids instead of a weapon for the kids in the Hunger Games.
Yeah. I think that was a break from the heaviness of the Hunger Games. So Lucky Flickerman and then the drones were the comedic relief in an otherwise terrible, awful, very bad day.
Well, and I would agree with that, because Charles kept giggling every time Lucky would say something. Lucky's lines were definitely
I laughed at those too.
The entire time.
That's his name, the host.
I'm Lucky. The weatherman, Lucky Flickerman.
Yes.
Yeah.
The weatherman / budding musician.
Yeah.
Musician.
No, amateur.
Loved him.
Yeah,
not musician. Magician.
Yeah. He flicks the coin up.
Lucky walked so Caesar could run.
That's right.
Oh, I loved his character.
I did too. Some people said he was annoying, but I liked him, especially in the movie. You needed that break.
Yes, I agree. But I thought they picked a good person to do Lucky. I liked the one-off comments. I think in the movie, the book, it kind of comes off as weird a little bit, I think. But in the movie, I felt like it was actually done better.
His delivery was great. Yeah, the book, it was but in the movie, the delivery was perfect. I thought, did a good job.
I definitely thought they did a good job with Lucky in the movie. I like the coin flip thing. Oh, I don't know why it made me laugh, but it did.
When he was interviewing Lucy, and he was just like, well, it's not every day you get to see someone's last performance.
Right?
Go get some sleep.
Dang, okay. That was, speaking of the interviews, so there's a whole section in the book, right, where Corio over and over is trying to get Lucy to sing again. He's trying his darndest to get her to sing in this interview, and it finally comes down to getting the guitar. If he can get her a guitar, she'll do it.
Yeah, I missed that little tidbit in there.
But like, and part of the thing that happens why he's getting the guitar is he kind of starts learning about why the headmaster hates him so much, and we just kind of skipped all that in the movie, and I feel like it's a detriment to the movie, especially at the end where everything kind of comes out. It feels very last minute when High Bottom kind of explains why he doesn't like his dad.
Very rushed.
And I was like,
you got Peter Dinklage. Like, are you kidding me? You're not gonna
right?
give him more
Give the man more screen time, please.
Yeah.
But he did a fantastic High Bottom too. I love him as an actor, so like I'm just gonna watch whatever he's in anyway. But I thought he did a great balance of serious, and I'm also high as a kite.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I liked him. I wish they had given him 5-10 more minutes.
Yes.
Would have cleared up a lot. Like, you didn't need, like, I know we keep saying this movie is rushed. It is like 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It's
a long movie.
But they should have, I think Mike probably, I think he was the one who said it. He's like, it could have been 2 movies. They could just split it up again. I
don't know where would be a good split though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they should have necessarily split it up. But you should have just done a Lord of the Rings style. Make it 3 hours. We would have gone.
I didn't even notice it was 2.5. Like usually, you can tell in movies that are that long, like there hits the point you're like, okay, come on. I couldn't tell. Like we were going the entire time. It was nonstop. But I thought they did a good job of not making it feel like 2.5 hours. I will give them that.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah. Can we talk about Sir Janus and his lack of self-preservation?
Bro.
That I knew from the beginning he was gonna die. Like, there was no hope for this guy. When he's gonna stand up and throw a chair and be like, "You're all monsters." Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't even think Katniss, I think, would have done that. I feel like she
shot the arrow at the game makers, though.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
That was her throwing the chair moment.
Yeah, the difference is she was already dead in their eyes, so
right. For her, it would it was not the same. I'm trying to figure out where. So I have notes, right? At page 80 is where this note is for me because I marked down where I thought about it, and it says, "I feel really bad for Sejanus. He's the only one that has empathy, but I don't think he's gonna make it to the end of the book."
No. I just love, so in the book, you know how much Snow dislikes him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's already made it in the book. He makes it down to 12. He has a week to himself, and then in strolls Sejanus. And he's just like, damn it. This kid follows me everywhere.
Actually, though, I feel like in the book, he was kind of relieved to have somebody he knew.
Maybe.
Because the suicide part they talk about on the train happens in the book. Like, Corio's ready to die. He's done. It's mundane. He hates this. This is not going the way he wants. And then in comes this kid who reminds him of the capital and reminds him of what he needs to do. And then again,
that's true.
Well, it
wasn't about Sir Janus itself. It's just like what Sir Janus represents.
Right.
Yeah.
I think if it was anybody else, he would have probably felt the same way.
Well, I mean, do psychos like anybody? Really? I don't think he's capable of that.
That brings up the point of did he really love Lucy Gray?
Absolutely not.
I think he loved her as a possession.
Oh no, yeah, he was her owner. Like, he mentioned it 4 or 5 times in there.
Yeah. Every time he's like, "This is my girl. I was like, ooh, this is dark romance talk. This is red flag.
But the only time mine isn't hot,
Right? This is not enjoyable this time. But so one thing I would say with Sejanus too is I feel like in the movie he was more wimpy than he was in the book.
No, I thought in the nicest way he was a pathetic empath in the book as well.
He was. Don't get me wrong. Like, homeboy was. Charles even brought it up. Charles hated his character. He was like, he's like, there's so many better ways to have done things. Why did he keep trying to kill himself to prove a point? And I was like, you're not wrong.
I think he was just he was racked with guilt. Like, he just couldn't live with himself. He didn't want to live. He went into the arena to die.
Yeah,
you know?
I think this kid hated being capital so much that he was depressed is what it really was. It was but one thing that bothered me is I felt like when the peacekeeper, when we're in that role, right, and he starts the rebellion and stuff, and he realizes he's a good shot and everything because, you know, his dad's in charge of weapons. He was trained. I would argue he starts kind of getting more rambunctious at that point. I don't know if rambunctious is the correct word, but like he's the one who buys the guns. He's not like he knows how to use the guns. He is very aware of all these things. And then in the movie, it was just like, this was supposed to happen. Like, how did they get weapons? Bud, you bought them though. Like in the book, he bought them. He brought money to buy them.
Right. Yeah. Well, theoretically, like, it doesn't ever explicitly say that, does it?
No, it does in the book. He bought them the guns. Like, it comes out that Janus was the one who was like, yeah, let me help start you off for because he was going to run away and go north with them. And, so he bought the thing because he was a good shot and he was going to help like get them food and stuff. And then in the movie, he kind of like has a panic attack over the fact that they have guns. And I'm like, what happened here? That's not what happened. So that's why I feel like in the movie we kind of made him start wimping out even more, and I was like, I'm confused. I don't know. The hanging scene always, book and movie though, made me sad either way though.
I loved the Jabberjays or the Mockingjays that are hanging around. It's very harrowing. Yeah.
Yes, they did a great job of that in the movie. And that's a whole tangent that I will not bother with the podcast because we'll be here for 12 years. The underlying theme of why Snow hates the Mockingjay versus the Jabberjay is just brilliantly written. There's so many things that lead up to why he like the short version, because I could probably talk about this for days, but the short version, right, is that Snow hates the Mockingjay because it represents everything the capital isn't. Nature has taken over, there's no need for a capital, and things are thriving. He can't stand that because he's capital. And the Jabberjay is everything he is. He's in a gilded cage, he has a job that helps the capital, and he feels like powerful because he is being used by the capital and what he thinks is the right way. He like connects with the Jabberjays. And it's again one of those things that I feel like if you're reading the book, you're like, oh, this is so cool, but you just can't.
No, yeah, it does not transfer in the movie at all.
But
I do like the fact they dumbed it down.
Yes,
I like how they did a picture in the movie of the recording machine, and it literally says "off and record."
Right,
and just flips it over. I'm like, okay, yeah, so everybody gets it.
I mean, but again, to be fair, like to me the movie came across as we're gonna play it as people have only seen the movie and not read the books.
Yeah. Well, I like that they made it like super duper clear. You know?
I think you had to because they didn't really talk about it.
Well, yeah, because in the book he's actually talking. Well, in the book too, it's his idea to start rounding up these birds.
Yeah, because he hates them so much.
Yeah, and then in the movie they just make it like Dr. Gall's already.
Well, there's a whole other lab doctor person who comes in for the birds, and again, she's just gone. But to be fair, I do think the downside of having so many characters in the book is that like you knew some of them were going to be left out in the movie.
Well, for sure, like it's not integral to the plot. Yeah, and I think that a lot of things that are in books don't transfer well to movies, such as that kind of symbolism. There's just not enough time in a movie to play all of that out. There's just not. I think they did a good job with what they did.
I agree. I do agree. What else the officer test. I feel like we're jumping around a lot, but since we're in the peacekeeper thing, I found it weird that we left out that Snow took an officer test, and that's how actually he was going to go to the officer school, because homeboy is can read, which I thought was a funny line. I'm sorry. Um but in the movie they're just like, you're too smart to be here, and I was like, okay. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, it just they didn't need to give it any time, just
Mhm.
to get the point across. I don't know. I didn't miss out that point. The other thing that I thought was just awful was that they didn't give enough time to High Bottom and developing that. Like, I wish there
Yes.
was a little bit more time just to do that. I think it would have made it less. It just seemed out of pocket, you know.
That and the Covey. I'm really sad we didn't get to see more of the Covey and like the other
Yeah, you know
kids.
what? Yes. I got the impression they were like Romani. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, with the bright
Mhm.
colors and the traveling and all that stuff. Um, and so it was also weird to have that uh Appalachian accent.
Well, and I think that, like, again, goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Lucy's the only one, and that may be just because we only get one other line from the Covey. We had like two lines. One when they're Ivory, Maud Ivory
Maud
is
Ivory.
introducing, but now, and this could have honestly been my theater, I couldn't understand her when she wanted to the mic. I don't I don't think that was the actress. I really think that was probably more of where I was in the theater. I couldn't hear her at all. Like, it just came across as muffled. And
No, no,
then,
no. It did to me too. Like
okay,
when she's going up on the stage to
yeah,
introduce Lucy Gray, it was like a blah blah blah, and then like one sentence at the end, like blah, and here's Lucy Gray.
yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
understand her, but I was like, I'm not chalking that up to her having a bad accent. I'm chalking that up to audio editing, to be real honest. But then we only hear one other line from one of the Covey kids when he brings over the Katniss, and he doesn't have the weird accent. So, like, to me, Lucy having the accent was off. Like, I get,
Mm.
like, if you're
Well,
trying
how
to
old
make
was
her
the
so
kid?
different,
Maybe
old enough
because
he would have
they
had an accent.
really.
He was like the 10
Mm.
or 11-year-old that had the really long braid.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking like where they were born and how long they stayed in that location.
That's true.
You know. But
Yeah, I
if
don't.
he's like 10, we're in the 10th Hunger Games. They got stuck there then, so
Yeah,
he
that's
should have
true.
had
He
it.
would have been
I
little
think
bitty.
I think I would I definitely it's not my favorite accent. I would prefer if they just left it out. No offense
Hmm.
to anybody. Yeah.
I think it wouldn't have bothered me as much if there was other people with the accent. For just Lucy to have the accent felt random. Like, it felt like it was just trying to emphasize that she was not district or capital.
So, was there anything in the movie that we liked more than the book?
Um
I liked Lucky Flickerman more.
I did like Lucky more. I really like the very end where they have Snow walk up to the statue that becomes the victor's circle thing
Oh
that
yeah, yeah, that
later.
was really impactful.
Yeah, they have him walk up, he's all dressed nicely, and then they end, the sound behind him is the main theme from the Hunger Games trilogy. And I was like, bro, that was nice. That was a very nice scene. And then they wrap it up with Snow's last line from the actual trilogy about how, like, the dangerous thing is love or whatever.
Yeah,
It was, that was 100. I was here for it. I was like, this is fantastic. I love this moment.
I don't know if y'all noticed, but Lucy had the Katniss plant on her corset.
I
Uh,
did not notice that.
during the thing. It was a nice little touch. Also, just as heavy handed as Miss Suzanne Collins references throughout that entire freaking book. I'm sorry. It was so much it left a bruise when I was reading it. It was just like, man.
That irritated you?
Wait, what are you talking about? The Katniss?
Just
No.
all the backpedaled foreshadowing. Like
Yes.
like
Oh, I'll write it
if
down.
this was a prequel that came out as a prequel and then so like the nice thing about that I enjoy with Sarah J Maas is she put so much forethought into her next series that there's tidbits of foreshadowing in previous publications,
Right.
right? But the way this one panned out, and like it's still good, it just felt like really strong.
Like, you can tell she wrote this
Yeah,
after the
she's
fact.
like
Yes.
yeah. Like
Like, you can tell.
she added those little pieces in, but like we've already read the Hunger Games, so it's just not as impactful, I guess.
You said it a really good way when we were texting, something about like how she was like clearly putting puzzle pieces together in this one.
Yeah, I think when she was writing the Hunger Games, she had a vague outline, an idea of what she wanted to do. But because the Hunger Games was the majority of the puzzle, all she had to do was add in key
Fill in the
words. Yeah, just
Mhm.
fill
Yeah,
it in here and there.
I
And
agree with that.
it didn't seem authentic. It seemed like bold print,
Yes.
Katniss, and
Yeah.
just whatever else.
One thing
There
I
was one
also
thing.
sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just to add to like the clothing thing. I think this is a movie thing. I don't know if y'all noticed, but after Lucy Gray won the Hunger Games and she performed again for the first time, I didn't see if she wore it the rest of the time, but I noticed it that first time she had a bracelet of a snake.
Oh, I noticed that too. Yeah.
I loved that.
It was
I
like
was like,
the gold coiled snake around her arm.
no, it was an actual just bracelet,
Yeah, but it was
not
one of
on
those
her
that like,
arm.
wrapped around, right? Like it wasn't just like a
Yes.
typical circle. Like it looked like a snake if you were looking at it.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, it's because you said her arm, so I'm thinking like the upper arm.
Oh,
Like,
no,
no,
no, no,
this is
yeah.
just a normal bracelet. But yes, it was wrapped around her like a snake.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm like, huh, they did that after the snake scene.
That yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was a nice touch. I did like that too. One thing that I liked in the movie that we didn't have in the book, but I felt like it connected the other movies to it, juxtaposition wise, was so for those who haven't
Well,
read the book, Lucy doesn't win by the snakes. There's multiple people who survive the snakes, and then she kind of cunningly kills off the rest of them, one using the snake, but the others using the poison. And there's no big scene with her being covered in these snakes, but in the movie it is, and Snow is constantly like at Dr. Gall being like, get her out, she won, get her out, right? And then it gets everybody gets mad, get her out, she won, right? It's this whole thing, it's this
Yeah.
mindset, and it mimics or it mirrors the very first movie where Peeta and
Katniss.
Katniss are doing the same thing and everybody's going after Snow. Let them out. They won. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, that like I really liked how they kind of lined that up better in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it shows again that like why Snow struggles so much when he sees this rebellion coming because it's past coming back to bite him. But I agree with you. I think part of the reason it comes off so strong as Snow's past coming back to bite him is because Collins made sure
Yeah, she was like, no one
emphasize.
is gonna not get this.
There is no doubt
Yeah.
of like what lines up.
Yeah, it's like when authors are like, he's a big strong man and she's a teeny tiny girl, and they put it in there like the whole book, and I
Yes.
just like by the third time I'm like, I get it, I got it.
He's big, she little. We
Yeah.
understand. All right, are we ready to do personal ratings?
Yeah, I think so.
Ashley, you always do it last, so I'm going to get you this time. I want you to do your ratings first.
What? So I said that since we're not in the arena and we're in Snow's POV, that the urgency in the book is lost a little bit. It's a little bit slower paced. And then I took off half a star for the little Easter eggs that we just talked about that were so heavy handed. And the fact that there were no character arcs. Lucy felt like a device for
Mhm.
Snow, and then Snow just sucked the whole time. So I gave the book a 4.5 out of 5. And I gave the movie a 4 out of 5.
Nice. I have to ask though, was part of that Tom? Because he is pretty.
I
Does he
gave
get
the
a whole
movie
star?
a 4 out of 5, and I give Tom a 5 out of 5.
There you go. I love it. Oh, sorry. I just have to tease you a little bit because he is. They did a fantastic job with who they casted for Snow. I think. Um. So for me, I agree with everything you said about the book, but I also feel like the book left us with a lot more questions about the war itself. I wanted to know more about why the war happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to know why the first rebellion happened and why the capital felt it was so bad. And I also wanted, we were also left with these hints that Pan did used to be North America and eventually became Pan Am. Like, I wanted to know more about that history. And like, but I don't want like a prequel book and not like, if that makes sense. I just kind of
Mike
wanted it to be
Mike said he
explained.
wanted to see Snow's actual rise to power.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah, that like
I'll get there. I'll get there
yeah,
because
that
I
would be
agree with
fun.
that.
But for me, I would also argue, like, because of the questions and because of some of the like the same stuff you said, I gave the book 4.5 out of 5. I still think it's my favorite book I've read this year because I did like the little details that Collins did throw in that wove things together. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, the movie was a 3 out of 5. And I really do think for me, it's because it just didn't really line up with the book as well as I was hoping.
Mm. But what did you rate Tom?
Tom's a 5 out of 5 as well. All right, Stephanie, your turn.
Okay, so the book. I'm going to give the book, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. When it comes to the history and everything, I feel like I'm 50-50 of like, I would like to know what happened with the original rebellion, but I also don't care. Like, I do care, but I don't want to read it. I just want the answer to it, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want like 1 or 2 pages, or maybe like I could do even just half a paragraph, or like half a chapter. I meant half a chapter of just talking about that. I don't actually want to get into what happened because I don't know. Like I'm happy with just, I just want the answer of just like what
I
happened.
get you.
Um I'm also just not a history person. I feel like if it was a book that was just that, just talking about war, just talking about rebellion, it's not going to capture my attention. So I agree in the sense of like I want to know what happened, but I just wouldn't want to read it. So I'm kind of glad it didn't fully get into that. Um and was a little bit slow for me. I don't know if it's just cuz I had a hard time reading it. Um just with me in my life. But yeah, I'm going to give the book in general a total. It was good, but a 3 out of 5. The movie I'm going to give a 4 out of 5 because I really did enjoy it. Um, the way I feel like I categorize movies is like, will I watch it again? And if I would watch it again, it's automatically like above a 3-point
Hmm.
scale. And if I wouldn't, it's like 3 or below. Um, and I feel like this is a good movie that I would go back and watch. Just as much as like I would with the originals, I would add this to the list as well. It's like, okay, if I'm gonna go back and watch all of them, let's watch this one too. Um, I I don't know. I did enjoy it. I liked it. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
All right.
Nice. All
Did
right, well, that's it for now. Join us next time where we'll discuss the Percy Jackson book 1, and we'll either cut it down to half of the series or the full series. We haven't decided yet. But in the meantime, you can follow us on our Facebook, Insta, and TikTok at Pause the Page. See you next time.